Issue 115. We start out with the multiple different Megamac villains fusing together, with Tails being Captain Obvious about it, and Sonic lampshading him doing that. Sonic's a good audience surrogate because I had forgotten Megatox's name too, since it's been so long. Megatox says that Sonic hadn't defeated him, and he spent years growing and increasing his strength. So now he's charged with thousands of volts of electrical power. He says his energy level is increasing every second, and in minutes, an explosion will be triggered. First off, he said in moments last issue, so he was exaggerating there. I guess for the sake of a dramatic cliffhanger. And second, that'll kill him too. But I guess he's just that petty. Idiot. No, somehow he thinks that he'll survive the fiery explosion, and will accompany the Megamac to Emerald Hill. Sonic lampshades how many times he's heard villains say they'll destroy him in a censored way of saying they'll kill him. And even though this comic does not have guts about saying the word kill, Techno said to the nerd that someone tried to kill him. Megatox says that his weakness earlier was that he was liquid and couldn't touch anything. But now he's got electricity on his side. Him trolling off in the next panel actually leads to him trying to punch the ground and making things jump from the impact, rather than him being attacked by Sonic like I expected. Sonic throws a chain and it's ineffective because Megatox can just revert to his liquid form. Sonic thinks that the Megamac is already making him feel really ill, and Tails gets attacked being called Sonic's stupid sidekick. He sits down looking dazed, and Sonic continues to lie down, saying that now his vision's going haywire. It's good to see actual consequences to him fighting poison, even if they for some reason won't continue past the story arc where he was fighting it, without even an explanation like Techno giving him an antidote. Wouldn't it be logical for there to be an antidote right in Chemical Plant itself? Sonic then spin ashes at the monster's head, knocking him unconscious before he'd have a chance to turn liquid, as Tails explains to him. He was able to do that because he had turned solid while trying to punch him. After Megatox safely neutralized and stored in a tank, the story ends with Sonic being a good audience surrogate and actually lampshading how annoying it is that it's unclear whether the Marxo brothers intended to try to kill him. After all, Tails asked why they'd set up a trap that would destroy their own factory, and yet the brothers are all happy and slimy pretending he's their favorite hedgehog. I think they were using him to get rid of a villain they don't like, but didn't care whether to kill him or not. We could have ended the story with a more clear ending. I hate ambiguousness in stories. It's just a lame excuse for the writer not to try as hard to make sense and not to bother writing what the actual answer is. In the next story, Tails is told by a doctor that he sprained his tails with too much flying and he has to rest them for a few days, which he's unhappy about. Isn't a sprain about being twisted? Why would flying do that if it's been so long, and presumably this has only happened now? He could have gotten a sprain from being injured by badniks and make more sense, and make them a threat instead of just something to be destroyed in one hit. It starts to rain, and Tails says it's raining cats and dogs, which annoys a dogmobile who's hiding from the rain. The bad weather was caused by Windy Wallace, which is a name that sounds familiar to Tails. Oh, I was suspecting it was her, but Windy didn't sound at first like a girl's name, so I was confused. Windy obviously sounds like Wendy, so I don't know why I thought that. I guess it's because it didn't end with A. I guess it's because it's not Winda. And I thought she died from being sucked up into a tornado, and that would logically throw her to the ground from a really high height and kill her. At least she's back for another story, but won't you just do the exact same thing again? After an overly sensitive dogmobile gets mad at a catmobile for saying she's absolutely barking mad, probably just to troll him as his buddy, we see Windy cackling an airship in the storm. How is that storm not struck her airship with lightning by now and destroyed it? Or struck her? And yep, she plans to do the exact same plan again, so why hasn't she done it already and destroyed the planet instead of wasting time with storms? Did she have a flair for the dramatic? Her only causing a heat wave now is weird. Tails gets worried because his plane's been wheel clamped, and then Roger Bodge, the terrible engineer, shows him a helicopter made of an old-fashioned toilet, which Tails sits on to get to Windy's window somehow. Some hailstones fall and his helicopter starts to fall apart. Then it explodes, sending Windy falling to her death, and since Tails was slowing his descent using the helicopter as a propeller, he isn't falling to his death, and grabs the crazed villain to save her because he's a naive idiot. Then she taunts him about the propeller breaking when she should be worried about being killed since she was clearly screaming about falling to her death earlier. what is she, a Death Seeker? And the two land in one of her snowdrifts. And the story's ending is stupid because somehow, by a crazy coincidence, the same doctor who was tending to Tails is right there, right after they landed. And I guess we got past the point where Tails says he didn't use his tails and the doctor believes him. Plus, she makes a pun about making such heavy weather of it, which isn't funny because I'd never heard of a phrase like that before, and puns are by definition out of place in fiction. In the next story, I have to wonder in frustration why the fuck the military men are even trying to interrogate Amy and Techno if they're just gonna disbelieve everything they say and only want to hear what they want to hear. And then the idiot colonel disbelieves the professor too. I guess it would be way too risky to not act like they're invaders, just in case, but still. You'd think that this kind of behavior would provoke aliens to invade it out of spite from mistreating their ambassadors, when they weren't going to invade before. Techno says that she made her earrings explosive for a predicament like this. At least this is making an actual use of her earrings, but Amy's "you are kidding" is really relatable here because it's lampshading the Deus Ex Machina. Not everything has to be foreshadowed, but it feels frustrating when great things happen out of nowhere to save the heroes, because then I'm treated like I had no reason to think there was tension before this, when how was I supposed to know they'd be freed by bullshit? It's a get out of jail free card. A soldier looks dazed, sitting down, and Amy just stops to quip instead of her and Techno immediately running away. Making me feel like the colonel should be calling them the imbeciles and not his dazed men. Then Techno flies with Amy in her arms while not having any wings, which felt insulting because Predator, Hawk, and Archie clearly has rings, and it wouldn't have been hard to have her sprout wings like Medley and Wind Waker. And the professor is right there to tell them where they're holding their spaceship. Good thing the military got that spaceship here instead of leaving it behind. The professor then has to sit inside on top of it because it's only a two-seater. Wouldn't spaceships have at least the same amount of seats that cars normally do? That was arbitrary. And how is he not flying off? Amy says she can drop him off at his place, and the professor is naturally scared, saying amusingly, "Could you use a different phrase than that, please?" The professor gets them a portal home, and Amy thanks him, saying that he's a cool dude, unlike the other humans. And she and Techno just leave, not getting to interact with anyone else on Earth and see what the place is like. I mean, I guess it's pointless to try to flesh out Earth, because we already know what Earth is like. The professor then reveals why the military can't follow them to Mobius and try to recapture them, and being all amazed at seeing what Mobius is like. The professor just deleted the program, and it's impossible to access it again without Techno's input. That last part was confusing. Wouldn't it just go in the recycle bin and be reaccessible easily? Or just be deleted forever? And rather than us seeing the professor get punished for it by the angry military man, since that's what would realistically happen, and all of those military men were witnesses to the aliens showing up, the story ends with Amy and Techno back home. And I guess we can just assume the professor got executed like Dr. Gerald or beaten up for helping them. Poor guy. The first story is by Nigel Kitching, and was about Sonic despite his vision being screwy from the Negamac poison, accurately hitting Megatox's head with a spin dash, knocking him out so he can be put in a tank. And Sonic doesn't have to go to the hospital after being touched with poison so much, and is perfectly fine without even taking an antidote. It's okay to give him moments of vulnerability, guys. The last two stories are by Lou Stringer. In the second one, Tails' tails are too sprained to let him fly well, and he manages to fly up to the Weather Girl Windy's airship with a flying toilet from the bad engineer Botch, and when it explodes after he conveniently falls off it, saving his life, Windy is sent out of the airship. I assume her weather machine was destroyed by the explosion. Then I was impressed as an actual explanation was given for Tails not falling to his death, as he just grabbed the pull of the helicopter propeller, and for some reason he slows Windy's fall down, and the same doctor from the start of the issue is suddenly here to congratulate Tails on following his advice, which feels condescending. Doesn't he have a doctor's office to be in? Why is he even here? And the third story is about Techno's explosive earrings freeing her and Amy from the interrogation room, and because the military brought their spaceship here, they're able to escape with the professor and warp home with them in minutes. Sadly, there's no indication that the professor who helped them escaped any punishment from the military, who still only have the testament of one guy saying that they weren't invaders. You'd think the military would have a position of power over the professor and would execute him like Dr. Gerald.